Hello everyone, today we're going to talk about our top 20 favorite albums from 1965. A pivotal year indeed, a lot of great styles and new things happening, folk rock coming into play, a lot of jazz artists exploring new territory, even middle of the road stuff has its place. So, without further ado, number 20 is the debut from the Sonics. Here are the Sonics, featuring the blistering Psycho. What a great song. Definite proto-punk, like, 10 years in advance here. I think along with 1966 Talk by the Music Machine, definite hard stuff for its era. Of course, they do all the, the typical covers of the era. Good Golly, Miss Molly, Walking the Dog. They throw in some other originals, but I think Psycho is the best song on this album. Overall, a really good album, though. And this is coming in at number 20. Here are the Sonics by the Sonics. Number 19 is the debut by Paul Butterfield Blues Band. Has some great blistering guitar work from Mike Bloomfield. Of course, some great harmonica playing from Mr. Paul Butterfield himself. A lot of great songs on here. Born in Chicago, Shake Your Moneymaker, Mellow Down Easy, Screamin', Mystery Train. Fine debut. Coming in at number 19, Paul Butterfield. Coming in at number 18, we're going to do a little Latin jazz here by Cal Tjader. Soul Sauce, a great album full of mambo, samba, Caribbean vibes. A lot of great vibe solos throughout. Cal Tjader was an American Latin jazz musician, and this is one of many albums he released. This is probably my favorite, one of the few I've heard actually, but it's a great late night listen on the headphones. It just brings you to another place. Great stuff on here. Cal Tjader, Soul Sauce, released in 1965. Coming in at number 18. Coming in at number 17 is the great instrumentalist extraordinaire John Fahey. Incredible acoustic guitar player. This is his album, The Transfiguration of Blind Joe Death, an album he recorded on his own, distributed on his own, but later got distribution from other labels. This is just an amazing album with just tons of different styles. There's blues, there's folk. There's so many different styles, it's really hard to mention them all in one breath. You just have to hear the record itself. It's just flawless from beginning to end. Just amazing guitar playing. A guy who would influence guitarists in the future like Leo Kottke and others. Highly recommended if you've never heard of it. This is John Fahey and the Transfiguration of Blind Joe Death. This is coming in at number 17 on the 1965 list. Coming in at number 16 is the Rolling Stones' Out of Our Heads album. This is their breakthrough album in America. Of course, containing Satisfaction. Also has the flip side, Under a System West Coast Promotion Man. One of my favorite early ballads of the Stones on here is Play with Fire. I love the leadoff track on side 1, Mercy, Mercy. There are a few duds on here, but that's just the way it is back then with a lot of these albums pre-66. Also has one of my favorite early Stones songs, The Last Time. But overall, a great, great album from the Stones. Coming in at number 16, Out of Our Heads. Coming in at number 15 is more of a compilation record from 65 of great Kinks songs from 65. This is released in America only, the Kinks Kingdom. I think this is really special because it has See My Friends on it, one of the first times an Indian guitar styling was used on an album, even before Norwegian Wood. The Kinks don't seem to get a lot of credit for that, but they were the first to do that. Another great song, A Well-Respected Man, a number 13 hit in the U.S., Who'll Be the Next in Line. I Need You is not kind of a retread of the You Really Got Me All Day and All the Night type riffs. But See My Friends is an absolute Kinks classic from 65. This is coming in at number 15, the Kinks Kingdom album on Reprise Records. Coming at 14 is the second album released in the U.S. by the Yardbirds, Having a Rave Up. The first side features Jeff Beck. It's all studio recordings. You're a Better Man Than I, Evil Hearted You, I'm a Man, which was a great single. Still I'm Sad with those kind of Eastern drone kind of vibes. Heart Full of Soul, another hit. And The Train Kept a Rollin'. later covered by many people, including Aerosmith. Side 2 is a live recording with Eric Clapton from '64, featuring Smokestack Lightning, Respectable, I'm a Man, and Here 'Tis. Great album here by the Yardbirds, their second album, 1965, Having a Rave Up, coming in at number 14. Number 13 is the third Kinks album, The Kink Controversy. This is where Ray Davies' songwriting prowess is starting to begin, with songs like Where Have All the Good Times Gone, Ring the Bells, When I See That Girl of Mine, The World Keeps Going Around, I'm on an Island. The album kicks off with just a blistering guitar attack from Dave Davies on Milk Cow Blues. From this point on, Ray's songwriting will just become more stellar as each album progresses, and he becomes one of the greatest songwriters of all time. But a great album here, great third outing from the Kinks, The Kink Controversy. This is the American version. Kind of like this cover a little bit better for some reason. I don't know. It has a little more finesse. So this is coming in at number 13, The Kink Controversy. Coming in at number 12 is the second album by the Byrds, Turn, Turn, Turn. A fine second album after their debut. Some really amazing songs on here. Of course, the title track, Turn, Turn, Turn. Some great Gene Clark songs. It Won't Be Wrong, Set You Free This Time, The World Turns All Around Her. Excellent stuff. A really great version of Satisfied Mind with just amazing harmonies by the three main guys, David Crosby, Roger McGuinn, and Gene Clark. I think that might be one of my favorite versions of Satisfied Mind. It's so amazing. They end the album with Oh Susanna, and they also do a really great version of Lay Down Your Weary Tune with those amazing harmonies, a Dylan tune. And he was a friend of mine, which they would later do at the Monterey Pop Festival in '67. But a fine, fine album here by the Byrds. Turn, 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 coming in at number 12. Coming in at number 11 is The Who's debut, My Generation. This is the American version here. Very powerful record, powerful debut. Of course, it has the title track. I love The Kids Are All Right, La 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 Lies. The Kids Are All Right is one of my favorite early Who songs. A Legal Matter, which I first heard on the Meaty Beaty Big and Bouncy compilation. And Instant Party ends the album. A great debut from The Who, My Generation, coming in at number 11. Coming in at number 10 is the Beach Boys Today. A fine album. Side 1 has a little more upbeat stuff. Do You Want to Dance? One of my favorite early Beach Boys songs, When I Grow Up to Be a Man, has just killer harmonies. Help Me Rhonda, Dance, 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 a couple of hits there. Side 2 shows his more introspective side. Please Let Me Wonder is a great ballad. I'm So Young, Kiss Me Baby, another great one. She Knows Me Too Well. This is kind of a predecessor before Pet Sounds. I think after this came, let's see, there was one more album after this, and then the Party album. Can't think of the title at the moment, but this is, I think, 2 albums before Pet Sounds, kind of signaling that kind of production quality. So Beach Boys Today, coming in at number 10. And here might be the very first album I ever listened to. I was born in '65, so this might have been the first album I ever listened to. I know this was on my parents' turntable for a couple of years. It was played throughout '65, '66, '67. I remember my mom dancing around to this as an early age. It was always on the turntable. Herb Alpert's Whipped Cream. I mean, what a cover, right? Such class back then. Of course, it has Taste of Honey, which was a huge hit. But the album is just loaded with bangers. Green Peppers, Tangerine, Lemon Tree, Peanuts, Ladyfingers, Love Potion No. 9. They do a version of that. It's just a great listen. Very upbeat, very happy. An album that was probably just about in everybody's house during this period. In fact, when you go to like garage sales or you go to thrift stores, you always still find this album in there. I think it's sold millions and millions of copies, but a landmark album in my life, as I think it was really honestly one of the first albums I ever heard, and made an impression on me and brings back a lot of great memories too, growing up. So Herb Alpert's Whipped Cream, that famous cover, coming in at number 9. Coming in at number 8 is one of the greatest jazz albums of all time, John Coltrane's A Love Supreme. I think the last 5 minutes of track 3, Pursuance, part 4, Psalm, it's got to be one of the most cathartic moments in music as it builds and builds and builds to this climax. It's amazing stuff, amazing album, just kind of transcends all time and space. This is coming in at number 8, John Coltrane's A Love Supreme. Coming in at number 7 is Bob Dylan's Bringing It All Back Home. It's his first album that features a whole side of electric music. Very, very pivotal album in Bob Dylan's evolution and in music in general and folk rock. Starting off with Subterranean Homesick Blues, She Belongs to Me, Maggie's Farm, Love Mine is Zero. The only thing is that last song on side 1, Bob Dylan's 115th Dream, I've never really loved. Just kind of meanders along, but everybody has their own taste, right? But side 2 could be one of my favorite Dylan sides of all time. Just a banger. Mr. Tambourine Man, Gates of Eden, It's All Right Mom, Only Bleeding, and It's All Over Now, Baby Blue. Just 4 absolute stellar songs. Bob Dylan, Bringing It All Back Home, coming in at number 7. Number 6 is one of my absolute all-time favorite jazz albums. Horace Silver's Song for My Father. The opening piano bit covered by Steely Dan on Ricky Don't Lose That Number. This is a CD reissue I got in probably the late 90s. And I have to say that just about every track on here, well, every track on here is amazing. The title track, The Natives Are Restless Tonight, Que Pasa, The Kicker, Lonely Woman, and there's some amazing bonus tracks on here too that just fit in with the original album. Sanctimonious Sam, Sighing and Crying, Silver Threads Among My Soul. Amazing, amazing stuff here from the American jazz pianist, hard bop essential, Horace Silver. Song from My Father, coming in at number 6 on the Blue Note label. Coming in at number 5, one of my favorite bands from the mid-60s, The Lovin' Spoonful, Do You Believe in Magic? A really, really great debut. John Sebastian out of the gate writing amazing songs. The title track, of course, a huge hit. Blues in the Bottle, Sportin' Life, My Gal, amazing song. You Baby, sung by Joe Butler. Do You Ever Have to Make Up Your Mind? Another hit. Wild About My Lovin'. Other Side of This Life, Younger Girl, another beautiful ballad. On the Road Again, and it ends with the Night Owl Blues with just the most amazing harmonica solo on the outro by John Sebastian. This is coming in at number 5, Lovin' Spoonful, Do You Believe in Magic? Coming in at number 4 is one of my favorite Beatle albums of all time, even though it's not perfect, but I think side 1 of Help could be one of my favorite sides of any Beatles album. All the songs from the film. Absolute masterclass in songwriting. Help, The Night Before, You've Got to Hide the Love Away, I Need You, Another Girl, You're Gonna Lose That Girl, and Ticket to Ride. Absolute perfection. Of course, side 2, not as great. Act Naturally, not a great song, not a great version. It's Only Love, though, and I've Just Seen a Face kind of points the way to Rubber Soul, in my opinion. And it's amazing that they put those 2 songs on the American version because they fit in perfect. Dizzy Miss Lizzy ends it on kind of a anticlimactic note, but just side 1 alone of this album to me is just one of the greatest Beatles sides. So this is coming in at number 4, The Beatles' Help. Coming in at number 3 is the debut, one of the greatest debuts of all time, Mr. Tambourine Man from the Byrds. There's just not a bad track on this album. It's just an absolute milestone in folk rock music and rock in general. Of course, I love Mr. Tambourine Man, but you've got I Feel a Whole Lot Better by Gene Clark. I love Spanish Harlem Incident, another Dylan cover. You Won't Have to Cry is amazing. Here Without You, beautiful. Bells of Rhymney, just all in side 1, right? And side 2, All I Really Want to Do, I Knew I'd Want You, another beautiful Gene Clark tune. It's No Use, Don't Doubt Yourself, Babe, Chimes of Freedom. Just one of their greatest Dylan covers, and ending with We'll Meet Again. One of the greatest debuts of all time, one of the greatest albums of 1965, The Byrds. Mr. Tambourine Man coming in at number 3. Number 2 is, I guess you're going to know what number 1 and number 2 are. I mean, they're the best of 65 if you're talking about pop and rock music, right? So number 2 is Highway 61, Bob Dylan. This is my favorite Bob Dylan album. It has my absolute favorite Dylan songs on here. Just like Tom Thumb's Blues ranks high for me. Ballad of a Thin Man. It Takes a Lot to Laugh. It Takes a Train to Cry. 3 of my absolute favorite Dylan songs. And Desolation Row ending the album. Great album. Everybody knows it. It's always featured in like the top 10 albums of all time. Coming in at number 2, Bob Dylan, Highway 61 Revisited. And of course, you know what number 1 is. But it's the American version of Rubber Soul. To me, probably one of the most perfect albums ever made. I know that it's not what they released in Britain. It wasn't the original intent. But somebody at Capitol Records got it right by putting I've Just Seen a Face on side 1, starting the side, and It's Only Love starting side 2. It's Only Love going right into Girl just sounds natural, and I've Just Seen a Face going into Norwegian Wood sounds totally natural. There's just not a bad song on here. I think next to Revolver, this is my favorite Beatles album of all time. And the American version, it just has an absolute flawless perfection to it. These songs are just master classes in songwriting, perfection. And then I have this this original pressing of Rubber Soul. It's a mono pressing. And I don't know if anybody's ever noticed this, but after the line in Norwegian Wood, she asked me to stay and she told me to sit anywhere. There's a cough on this. And this is on a first pressing of the mono. I've never heard anybody mention that, but there's always been an audible cough on that song to me right after that line. So just saying, if you have a copy, check it out. So there you go. There's my top 20 of 1965. What are your top 20 from 65? I'd like to know in the comments section. Please press subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and you all have a good day. Take care. Bye-bye.